This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare. One last scare. One last scare.
Hey guys, welcome to The Last Scare, our home for horror nerds who come together and gush about their favorite feel-good genre. I'm Jayla, here with Cam, and we also are joined with Blake and Sabrina. And Sabrina is taking us through a journey, a game, if you will, of one of the most iconic horror franchises. Sabrina, take us away.
Hi. So this is Saw. This is gonna be Saw Bonanza. We're gonna be talking about the entire Saw franchise, and give our thoughts. And I don't want to say comments and not concerns. I was saying that before, but
There's concerns.
A little bit.
some concerns.
Always
Like,
concerns.
Our favorite things, our favorite traps. Gotta always, have that part of it too. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm excited to get into this because Saw is definitely like my favorite, like one of my favorite horror franchises. I didn't fully realize that until really doing a rewatch and everything and getting more into horrors. Now it's I appreciate it even more, even though I grew up with them. So I'm excited to talk about this with everybody.
Hey.
Us too.
So we're gonna start with Saw 1. So we open the first one with Detective Lawrence Gordon and Private Investigator Adam, who are awake in a room that they don't know how they got there, which ends up being like a creepy rundown bathroom. And they have no memory of how they got there. And the entire, basically, I'm going to go more into details about it, but long story short, throughout the entire movie, you see them slowly realizing why they're locked in the room together and that they're part of this notorious, as we know it now, Jigsaw game. So, yeah, this is the start of the franchise. This is the first one directed by James Wan. Anyone want to share? Cam, Jayla, Blake, do you guys want to share your thoughts about the first notorious Saw?
I'll start. Why not?
Go for it.
I'll go for it. Oh man, so going back and watching the first Saw was really interesting because it feels like we were talking about this earlier. It feels a lot really stripped down. There's not that much going on. We do get to see the iconic reverse bear trap for the first time on Amanda in this one, but it really mostly takes place in the bathroom and Adam and Dr. Gordon trying to go back and forth and figure things out. I will say one of my highlights is seeing Adam try to play dead because he's an awful actor at that. That was so bad.
I know, that was so funny. The entire time I was like, I think it was that one part too when Gordon goes, he's like, "This is how you pretend," and oh my god, the acting was so bad. And I think halfway through rewatching it, me and Blake, I realized he looks like an off-brand Ezra Miller, and I couldn't get it out of my head the entire time he was on screen.
We had the same thought. Yeah,
I couldn't unpicture it after that throughout the
entire
movie.
Glass broke.
This is freaking me out.
After she
the entire time I was I can't pay. Yeah.
Cary Elwes is always popping up in every other goddamn movie, and he was so bad in the first one. His acting, it was comically bad. I mean, I can never shake my Princess Bride view of him, but
oh, I know,
just the acting. It's
I mean,
you
could hear his. Does he have an accent?
He's British, and when he yells,
you hear it a lot at the end of that movie. I was like, Sabrina.
Yeah, Blake kept pointing it out.
We're trapped in this bathroom.
I mean, it's like I said, it's Saw, so it's not like Academy Award winning, but even Blake kept saying it with Gordon. It was he's acting circles around Adam the entire time.
Oh yeah, he was at least entertaining as hell.
I was like, damn. I was like, this is not Academy Award winning at all, but yeah.
It was definitely entertaining. Mm-hmm. I could definitely say that. It's just interesting. My favorite hasn't come yet, but I do respect Saw 1 for being this low budget. James Wan changing the game right out the gate.
No.
I have a lot of respect for it.
The GOAT James Wan is sitting
there. Hey, Jordan.
Yeah, but that's my thoughts.
Hello to him and to Indiana Old.
Yes,
Dr. Lawrence Gordon.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
So the plot twist in this first one got me. I had heard it before I watched it a few weeks ago. I knew the plot twist, but I completely forgot. So when it actually happens, when Kramer actually wakes up on the floor, it blew my mind. That was a lot of fun.
I was so happy when you told me that you forgot. I was happy. I was worried that I ruined it for you. So knowing that you got to experience that was cool for me.
Blake, can you share your thoughts too?
I also love the twist. I think I knew of that. I don't remember the first time I watched Saw if I knew ahead of time or not. But that's the only reason why I do give 2 a little more of an edge over the first one, is because I love John Kramer and I like when he's involved in the story. And of course, Saw 1 wouldn't work if John Kramer was throughout the entire movie. So it's kind of hard to knock this movie down a few points because of that. But over time, you get a different look on certain movies or even franchises. And this was very humble beginnings. I love the low budget grittiness of just that room that they're stuck in the whole time, which is kind of like a horror take on an escape room. And then you have this soap opera mystery narrative on the side, which is just like, it's perfect. When it comes to what started the Saw franchise, you can really ask for anything better. And I think the climax where they actually get those Saws involved and stop wasting their time with chains, which drove me nuts. They really stuck the landing with this one.
Listen, even if it's not your favorite, we're not going to let anyone ever speak ill on it because it started the franchise. It's iconic.
Oh, it's still top 3.
Thank
Like,
you. Okay, see, that's yeah. Even going through your rewatch, I still try to figure out where I'm going to put Saw X, which we'll get to that later. But yeah, it's definitely between the 1, 2, and 3 are just so
Saw
like
1 holds up. It's that simple. It just really holds up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan says the first Saw is still my favorite Saw.
Yeah.
Others haven't touched it for me.
That's valid.
I feel about the first 2, yeah.
I go back and forth. See, that's how you those first few are just gold because you don't know which one you prefer.
I know. And I know, like, we talked about it, like, a couple weeks ago. It was just, like, James Wan literally starting franchises but never, like, staying with them. I think we just need to, like, touch upon that again because it's just, that's insane.
It hurts.
It's like, you'll start them and then they'll continue without him. And it's just like, oh, okay.
It hurts every franchise that he started.
Yeah. So it's like, because we were talking about that a few weeks ago, probably a month ago.
A few weeks ago. But Saw did still have bangers even without him.
Yeah.
No,
I love James Wan, but they had some great ones.
Continue the conversation because we were talking about that when we're talking about
Conjuring.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a whole different story.
No, but the point is, like, started it, but didn't like finish. That's just iconic. And be like, okay, I'm gonna get you guys started on this.
Because I don't think it's his decision to make them franchises. Like, that's the studio. Like, oh, Saw did really well. Let's keep that going. And he's just like, okay, just do it well.
He still produces them, and Lee Wanell also produced all of these and wrote the first 3. I think he was also, what is it? Insidious. He was Specs. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And he directorial debut was Insidious 3, and he did The Invisible Man and Upgrade. So.
And he's Adam in the bathroom.
Oh my god, he's so bad now.
It's a little shocking, yeah. Rip Adam, he's dead. I don't care what anybody says.
Rip in peace.
Oh yeah, no, we see a skeleton later on down the line. We see a skeleton in the bathroom still, which I
that was crazy.
Yeah, you physically see 2. You see a skeleton. I think it's where 3 they reveal he was just straight up murdered. He wasn't really left for dead. I think Amanda came back in and suffocated him.
Yeah, she was like having issues of thinking about him being down there, so she gave him mercy killing pretty much.
I like that. Amanda always had that humanity.
Just made her even more interesting. And, we're gonna get into that, but
yeah, we're gonna get there.
Yeah,
Amanda's gonna come back.
We got some thoughts. Does anyone have any favorite traps from the first one besides the iconic reverse bear trap that we first see? Anybody?
Mine's reverse bear trap.
Yeah.
Mine is too, but aside from
that... No, good. Because that was the test. I wanted to make sure everyone said that. Because that was the best one. Like,
I'm really struggling to remember any other ones other than just...
I know.
Don't worry, guys. I have it written down.
Go for it.
We have the razor blade trap where he was like, you cut your wrist, so now you have to go through these razor blades. And I was like,
that was such a dick move, man.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. We had that one.
How did he do that?
The maze. Hold on.
Let's say reverse bear trap. I think we all agree.
Oops. It was a test. We passed.
Yes.
You guys passed. But I do, if you want to talk about it for a second. So we got the razor wire maze, the flammable jelly, reverse bear trap, the drill chair, and the quadruple shotgun. That one was, oh my god, that was crazy. That one
Those are all in the first one?
What?
Those are all in the first one?
Yes.
I feel like they go to the ending of it, like they go to the crime scene and it flashes back to what happened there. We don't see the traps play out. That's the difference.
That's kind of when they started doing because I do it like a lot more in 2 and 3, where they'll like you'll see the dead body and then you're like, and then the detective's like, what happened here, and then they'll flash back.
And then you get the classic Saw editing.
Kevin Gruder, I think that's how you say the name, is the editor for most of these and directed a whole bunch of them. We'll get to those.
I feel like the Saw is right before we move along. I think the flammable jelly one was just unfair. It was just so unfair.
Yeah.
Poor dude is naked. He's only in his underwear, covered in flammable jelly, glass all over the floor. The only way you can see is a little candle. He needed the candle to try and find the combination lock out of the thousands of numbers written around him.
That's just embarrassing.
I mean, there's a few unbeatable or unfair traps.
And that, to be fair, that was the point of one of those movies.
Yes.
But we'll get there. We need to get that on a shirt, but we'll get there.
But we'll get there.
But we'll get there.
But we'll get there.
Yeah. Like, guys, that's our slogan.
Who's to say?
Make action figures for that. We'll be right back and we'll get to that.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Oh God, I hate that one too. Is there any other thoughts you want to share? Anyone wants to share for the first song?
I'm all good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to Saw 2, even as iconic as the first one. So this one we have Detective Eric Matthews, who's kind of basically has to engage in conversation with John Kramer while realizing that there's a team of people stuck in a factory, and Eric Matthews realizes that one of them in that factory is his son, so he's got to basically like talk to Kramer so he can kind of give information to save his son, and like he wastes so much of his time that it's like crazy. But this one is also one of my favorites, so I would love to hear everyone else's thoughts.
I'll jump in.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn, you got it first.
Ooh.
You got it first.
Oh, okay. We're already fighting for it.
Donnie Wahlberg is so great in this because he's the most typical divorced cop dealing with a shitbird son. This one is where it really gets crazy, especially with the editing too. I noticed in particular with the scene where it's the glass boxes with the razors and she has to like reach up into them. I noticed that the editing in that scene was like too much. Like the editor was doing a little too much there. And that's when I started noticing it throughout the series, just how wild and frenetic all those sequences are.
It's like throughout the entire movie, but yes, that's like a huge thing that the Saw editing.
So Xavier at the end did not have to skin himself to get the number.
God.
He just was such an asshole that he wouldn't work with the other person he was with.
Anyone else?
There's a lot of names. Well, yeah, he wouldn't work with anyone. I wrote down his name, but there's a lot of names in these that I don't remember.
They're just filler.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
It's
really
fine.
are.
I mean, like the only ones you really gotta, is like Amanda.
Eric Matthews.
Yeah.
The Amanda reveal was really fun as well. Yeah, that was at the end of this one. I love that she was in. That she gets thrown into a needle pit by Xavier, I think, because Xavier was the real asshole. Thought it was like kind of ironic
because she was a junkie. Like that
exactly.
Was his, like you're used to it. Get in there.
Yeah, there was, and she was like genuinely shocked and horrified that she was having to deal with this in that moment. She's like, oh fuck, and she has really bad haircuts in all of these.
Yes,
they fucking hated this poor woman. Every movie, even Saw X, there was no retribution there.
She's getting the Gail Weathers treatment with haircuts.
Oh,
yeah, that was not a Bob. That was a Robert.
I was like, damn.
Quick hello to Dreaded.
Hi, Dreaded.
Thanks for being here.
Hi, Dreaded. Thanks for joining us.
Sid Morrison says John Kramer does not get the credit he deserves in the horror community for being one of the best villains in horror.
He really does.
Absolutely agree.
Really
Hard
does.
agree.
Speak on it.
Indiana Old says, did you know that Tobin Bell was nominated for Best Villain at the 2006 MTV Movie Awards for this movie, but lost to Hayden Christensen in Revenge of the Sith?
Oh my God.
Valid.
Listen.
I mean, deserved, but
Listen.
Even if it's an MTV.
They're both my faves, but like
Tobin Bell had a
Lord of the
lot of
fucking
movies.
Sith or
yeah,
serial killer. Come on.
but that was like the villain when we were all kids. That was like the performance. So it was
Jigsaw gets to shine in a lot of other movies.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think he shines the most in the one we're talking. Saw X did just come out. Okay, aside
Yeah,
from
I
Saw
was gonna
X,
say.
I was like,
the-
wait, why? Wait.
I saw the
Who are you?
fucking weapons coming towards me like the John Wick poster, and I was like, relax.
Jordan's typing.
Never mind. Yeah.
Started sweating a little
Okay.
bit. I can't really say too much more that you haven't already said, Cam. This is probably my favorite Saw movie. The labyrinth-esque vibe of the house kind of made me think of Resident Evil in a way. How they kind of had all these like open rooms to try and figure out how to get these antidotes was cool to me. My favorite trap was Needle Pit. Spoiled that. It wasn't even Amanda's trap. She was just forced to do it, and that sucks.
That was a
That,
hard scene to watch.
That sucks. That was
Yeah, that as a kid, that
terrifying.
made my skin crawl so bad. I remember like even like talking about that too. Is like I have like a weird fear of like things going in people's like arms and stuff like that. So like seeing them all over, I was like, oh, and she's barefoot. Like I can't. That's like one of my biggest fears.
I had two questions I meant to ask y'all up top. When did you first see these? And for the rewatch this past week, did y'all watch the unrated versions or like the R-rated versions?
We watched the R-rated versions because we watched them on streaming. I own them, so we could have done unrated, but we just did streaming, made it easier. I know Sabrina has seen them, a while ago and has been a fan. I saw these movies for the first time right before Spiral came out.
Oh, wow.
I only saw Saw 1, and then before Spiral, I watched all of them.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I ended up being disappointed by the end of my marathon.
Yeah, you're like, I need better. I need better.
I was like,
that's
yeah, because I saw the right before Spiral, the entire franchise was at Target for like $8, and I was like, wow, okay,
yeah,
it was a steal. So
I got my box set for 11. Yeah,
but it's better late than never that you got into it. So I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah,
it's never too late to get into horror stuff.
Saw was one of my introductory horror things, but not like the movies at first. There's a YouTube channel that they would post claymation remakes of the Saw traps. So I would watch those as like a kid in middle school before I actually watched the movies. So
you gotta find those and send it to Sabrina. That's like all her thing.
I don't know if they're still on there. I don't know who this person was, but they like spent the time to make little claymation remakes of all the traps.
I know what she's talking about. Yeah.
You do?
Like I admitted to Blake a few months ago. This sounds psychotic if I admit this on the stream, but like sometimes I'll watch the traps just to feel something. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't know. I just love watching, the traps. I don't know. Because even though I was like such a casual fan growing up on horror, because I didn't like know everything, because like Blake got me into more things, since we got together. But that was definitely one of them I grew up with that like I had a weird fascination with them ever since like I was young. I'll probably bet money my dad probably took me to them, but my dad would not remember because my dad doesn't remember like any movies he ever takes me to. Even though he's the one like that wants to see them. He'll be like, oh yeah, that's that movie. He's like, oh yeah. Like he doesn't remember things. Like it's like one of those things that like you're constant like a thing you can just constantly rewatch, but like also you can just jump around. So that's kind of what I do. So like but before when they announced Saw X, I was like, oh, we have to do like a full through and through watch through, and not just like we're watching a random one. Because there's so many traps, so like sometimes if it was like it's been a while since before I did this rewatch, so like I had to sit down and actually watch them and not watch the traps because then I would get confused on which one was which. That's what I was explaining to my dad. It's like the Final Destination movies. It's like you can make so many of them. I don't want to say it's an anthology because they are somewhat all connected, but like it's just I want them to just figure out a way to keep making them. That's my hot take. I don't care if it doesn't make any sense. Just keep making them.
Yeah, they could.
Keep making
they
them
could
somehow.
go a lot of different directions.
Yeah. Which I know we're going to talk about when we get to Saw X and like where they can go from there. But so we kind of like answered from the question from the first one was like, oh, what's everyone's favorite trap? Blake, do you have a favorite trap in this one?
Saw 2. I'm gonna steal Jayla's The Needle Pit. That one's my favorite. And
yes,
the one Cam mentioned, I really don't like that one. Reaching your hands into that box.
Yeah,
I didn't see the point.
Too simple.
That's freaky.
It was too simple, and I was just like, "What's the lesson?" Because like it's fun when the traps are at least personal.
It's just basically like don't put your finger in like something, and then you're
That is a fantastic lesson, Sabrina.
Don't put your finger in anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
No. No, we're not doing that.
Uh,
I know who ends up trying to reach in for the syringe, the 2 syringes, and ends up getting like baked alive. That was fucking crazy. That's probably one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, the fire, the furnace.
I forget his name because he's not important, but
he was a little
he just
weirdo.
goes in. Yeah, that's why
He's
I
a
also
pyromaniac or
probably,
something like that, I think. The guy that went into the furnace.
I mean, I have to mention it really quick because it also has one of my favorites. I'm not, besides the needle pit, because I know we've all been saying that, but the Venus flytrap one is my favorite. Thank you.
Indiana
Thank
Old
you.
says
I could not
Obi is the
remember his
guy's
name.
The
name.
Venus flytrap one?
Forgot.
Think of it like a
The
Venus
opening one where he
flytrap.
has the key in his eye, has to get the key out of his eye, or else he goes,
Oh,
And it's
yes.
like a Venus flytrap.
That's right. And then that was a great one.
Those were like very, very brief. It's like
Yeah.
flashbacks. It's like this, like I want to say it like kind of like the first one. It's like the side story of like traps that doesn't have to do with like the main story. It's just to be like, hey, this trap happened, and you're just like, oh yeah. I mean, like you see some traps, but like they're all stuck in a factory just trying to find, you know, the antidote for the poison. So it's like not like your typical each trap. So I think that's kind of why they
that
probably did
over
it.
time, and even after this last rewatch, that kind of brought Saw 2 down a couple notches for me. What keeps it up so high is the scenes with Kramer and Eric Matthews. Like I'm just a sucker for like the hero and the villain just sitting down and having a conversation, and I feel like that's where Saw thrives. Is like when it gets to the psychology of killers and especially John Kramer. But yeah, when it comes to like just I don't know, the labyrinth, like they're just not that likable of people, which I get is the point, but I'm not at the same time I'm not actively rooting for them to get killed, if that makes sense. Unlike, Saw X where you are rooting for the traps, but I don't know. I'm getting weird feelings with Saw 2 lately.
Jordan says, I'm definitely due for a proper rewatch because they all run together. I only remember Spiral because I hated it. Yeah, they're all running together for me too. We lost Sabrina.
Oh no.
So
her phone might have died, maybe.
How was your vacation?
It was good. It was fun. We saw Exorcist 2. Or Exorcist the Believer.
How was that? We haven't seen it.
You guys haven't seen it yet? We both actually enjoyed it. Okay. Hot take, I guess. I never once thought it was going to be like anything with the original, so I went in just expecting a fun time, and that's what I got. It was creepy enough. It got under my skin sometimes.
That's all you can ask for sometimes.
Also, who knows if it's getting that sequel now? Exorcist the Deceiver, since this one did so.
It was The Deceiver?
The Deceiver.
The Deceiver is what it was going to be called, yeah.
Wow, that's a title. Oh, thank God Sabrina's back.
There we go.
Sorry, this is like my first time doing it on my own, so I'm like trying to give everyone a good, jolly good show.
That's
and
you're doing great. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
What?
I had to.
What?
I said that's what she said. I said that's what she said.
I don't remember what she said.
Stop.
Trying to give everyone a good show.
Oh my God.
No, I said
It was
I'm
funny.
12. 13.
I said it.
So you guys have to like carry. So I have to put it on you guys to carry it again until I come back. Like that's not fair.
We talked about other stuff.
Oh, we were doing great last time.
Indiana Old says, I almost thought Tobin Bell or Shawnee Smith was going to pop up as a special guest.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad you think of us that highly.
Imagine if y'all surprised me, I would cry on camera. You ever see me cry on here? That would be it. I'd be like, what? No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. Blake does that to me all the time, especially when
he surprises you in New York?
No, he's like, look behind you, and I'm like, I can't. Side note, I sent him a picture once, like a dark background, and his friend edited something behind me, and it scared the crap out of me.
He edited Bagul from Sinister.
Oh,
that's
you're the worst.
That was before I saw it, so I was
it was like through the railing of her stairs, like right. It was perfect.
And he's like, Sabrina, what's behind you? I was like, what are you talking about? And I like started crying, and he's like. Well, my friend just edited it, and I was like, "You're an asshole." I was like, "You're such an." I was like, "I'm literally in tears right now, like scared that something's in my house." So I was by myself, so I was like, "That's why I get freaked out when I'm home by myself, because shit like that."
Relatable. I'm always scared Cam's gonna break in and like murder me or something.
Hold on, we gotta talk about that.
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
Wait, what? Wait a second. Don't out me. Jordan said this whole thing has been a side note.
I'm sorry.
Perfectly all right with that.
Okay, so we were talking about the traps. Did we have any other thoughts about two?
I will say it has my favorite. Is that my favorite? Yes, my favorite twist in the franchise.
I agree.
I love that Jigsaw laid out the rule. All you have to do to get your son back is sit here and talk to me.
Yep.
All he had to do. He ends up
Yeah.
beating the shit out of Kramer, and he's like, "Take me to this place," and he's like, "Okay," and left. And then his son was there the whole time, and Eric Matthews ends up getting fucked just for the next like 3 movies. So yeah, that Jesus, it was the best.
But
It always.
you're not supposed to sympathize with him, but like I've been
I love
joking
him.
around with Blake. No, but ever since I saw X, I always had a soft spot for him, but like Saw X literally had me like tears. I was like, he's literally like Peepaw. Like I can't. Like he's like Grandpa, and I'm like, oh my god. So I'm like Papa.
Especially after Saw X.
Oh my god, that had me so bad. I was like,
But we'll
I'm
get
literally
there.
like, yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there, but yeah.
Jordan says these streams are always a highlight of my week, no matter how they
I'm gonna
go.
cry.
Thanks,
Oh
Jordan.
We always appreciate you, Jordan.
Me too.
We're just here to have fun.
Jordan. That comment the entire week. That's the highlight of my week.
Saw 3.
So
Okay.
yeah, he tells him.
You're like, I'm
"You will
over it.
find
I'm
your-"
freaking over it.
I already shed my tears.
Yeah.
my tears of joy.
You're like,
I wiped
all right.
them away. No,
You're like, chop, Saw 3.
I was the one that put the comment on the screen. I acknowledged it first. I'm doing it again. Thank you, Jordan.
King Jordan, you'll find your son safe and sound.
You will find your son in a safe ... and secure place.
He's a tricky
So
little
perfect.
trickster. He's a silly little guy.
He was speaking metaphorically.
He does that.
Oh, also, really quick, the ending, it going back to the first with the music, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Same bathroom.
Down to the last thing.
Yeah, there's so much crossover in these movies. Like with the flashbacks, they flash back to the previous movie, and basically, oftentimes the movie will end at the same time a different movie ends. And so I have this note I wrote here that says, for every 2 movies, 1 movie passes.
Oh my god, that's perfect.
You're pretty accurate. Core 4.
We're the core 4. We're the superior core 4. That's what I think.
Whoa.
Core 4 Supreme.
Easily.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
They're not ready for that one yet, guys. They're not ready for that.
Sabrina. What's Saw 3 about?
Yeah. So now Saw 3. So here we have Jigsaw, who abducts a doctor, Lynn, in order to keep himself alive while he watches his new apprentice, Amanda, put an unlucky citizen named Jeff through a brutal test. And we're already disposed, but John and Amanda both die by the end of this one. So it's because of that.
Big
I
fuck
want
you
to
to
share their
Jeff.
thoughts. Yeah.
I did not like Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's a
I was
dick.
just going to say that. That was going to be my opening thought, too.
Go for it.
I mean,
Blake.
it's sad. It's sad what happened to him, but yeah, he
mean,
two thumbs down.
Putting his backstory aside, the majority of the movie we watch him go through these, not necessarily him going through the traps, but like trying to help these people the slowest he possibly can.
Literally.
No sense of urgency in this man. It's like
can't
the
make up
most
his mind.
aggravating side.
Not even when his wife is like in it too. He's like, nah. You would
takes
think that man would
his
speed it up now.
sweet time.
Yeah, it does not matter who's in the trap. He takes his sweet ass time, and for
He
that,
takes his sweet
he's a walk
time.
well.
I didn't care for him in the slightest, and I know I'm gonna forget just because everything in this franchise is muddled together for me. But before you ask me, my favorite trap in this movie is definitely the twisty one. Oh, that's a top 3 of the franchise.
Oh.
The classroom trap?
No,
No.
the last one.
No,
Oh!
the kid that actually ran over his child,
Oh yeah.
head
Yeah,
spinning
that's
around, his arms and legs getting rotated. Oh, sad.
The
but
rack.
Necessary
Strike
for a
arms
horror
back.
movie of this caliber.
Yeah, the rack. He kind of gets what he deserves.
The rack. That's what it's called.
That one made me super uncomfy. Saw 3 is definitely not my favorite. I just could not get with Jeff. He was just like, as you said, the most frustrating in the world. Something like he'd get everything explained to him, and he just kind of like panic in spot and kind of like, oh man, the entire time until like the last few moments. Make a decision, move, have some agency, please. Please have some agency. I'm begging him. I will say real quickly, my top trap was actually the first one that he endures, which is the Face Your Fears one with the woman. She's like she's held up, bound up, and she's getting
Oh.
cold water.
Oh,
the- yeah,
sprayed at
that
her.
was good.
The freezer room.
Yeah, yeah, the
That was a
freezer
good
room.
one.
That was my number one.
That
Followed up by the
one-
pig bat because that just grossed me out.
I mean, yeah.
That one was a mess. That was weird.
It's
I'm
like
not sure
a-
if this is the first one that has all the like pig visuals, but I think this is the first one where Amanda dons the pig mask, and I have lovingly, not lovingly, dubbed her Jigsaw, which is probably a thing already. It's probably a thing already, but I thought of it. So
I've never
I mean,
heard of it before.
I've never heard of it. I seriously think you're the first one.
Jigsaw, that's Amanda.
So what's Hoffman?
A dummy. Just kidding. I'm sorry. It was a joke.
Ooh, Hoffman
I
defenders
was
over
like,
there.
no. This,
Oh no, that's
I
his
forget
boy.
who it was, but someone just pointed it out in the chat a little bit ago that this is the first movie with Hoffman. Indiana Old, yes. This is his first movie. I'm a Hoffman defender. He
And
is the
also-
best villain of the franchise, aside from John Kramer. Yes, I like him more than Amanda. And I will get to why. He didn't really do anything in this movie, so we'll get there.
He saved that kid.
He saved the kid. Yeah, that outweighs what he does in the future.
Jordan says never heard Jigsaw before, so Cam can claim it.
A play on name was Saw Patrol. That was it.
It was a copycat killer. So they've got that trap where Carrie has to grab whatever the goober out. She has to grab the goober out of the jar of acid. She could have just poured the acid out, unless it was like clamped down somehow.
That was one of the unwinnable ones.
Because the end of this movie, Jigsaw, John Kramer ridicules Amanda for, rigging some of those so that they're unwinnable.
Yeah, she's a cold.
That one hurt because I liked her.
that?
After Saw 3, the unwinnable ones are just bad writing. Where it's like, no way they could have, like, this was the only one where Amanda's like, they're not getting out of this. They're going to die. Like, I think that's about it.
Yeah, and there's also like another it's not a side note is like it could have just ended a trilogy like this, but then they're like, no, we can do more.
Yes,
Amanda
but I'm
and
so
John will
glad they
die
did
in
it.
this. Like a part of me is glad because like we wouldn't have all these movies and like all the other lore and history, but at the same time, like in the reality of it, it kind of also. It would have been okay if it stayed as a trilogy because, as we're talking, sometimes the bad writing and other things, but...
It was stupid to kill off Amanda. I get killing off John Kramer because his whole thing is apprentices, but, like, Amanda, too? Like, even if you didn't plan on doing a fourth one, why?
It doesn't leave anyone to work with.
Yeah, that's why the fourth one, they were like, who's that one cop at the beginning of this movie that said, like, one line? Hoffman? Can we make him the killer?
Yeah,
we do? Okay, Saw 4, let's go.
And you're just like, what? Why would you pick him? And because they're like, oh, well, we did an oopsie in the last movie.
But they pulled it off.
Yeah, but
that's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, but instead of like admitting that they've pulled an oopsie, they're like, all right, let's do this. Let's figure it out.
Because the Saw movies make bank. The twist for this one was like needlessly all over the place, which will not be the last time that's happened.
No.
The next one's probably a lot worse when it comes to the climax. But what was the situation? Like if Kramer's heart stops,
The shotgun
on Lynn, she gets shotgunned. Amanda shot her, right?
Yeah, and then Jeff could have gotten her help. He could have gotten Lynn help, but instead he went after Kramer, killing Kramer, thus killed Lynn.
Killing her. Yeah, fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
This one
Amanda dies.
This
So
one
it's
was
like,
whatever.
Sure.
Wait, didn't Amanda shoot Jeff, right?
No, Lynn. And
She
then
shot
she
Lynn.
shot Lynn. She's like, "Bleh." And then Lynn gets shot through and then like lands in Jeff's arms and Jeff's all freaking out.
Because he's the one that kills Kramer, which like Jeff is the one that kills John Kramer.
Fuck
In this
that.
franchise?
They
Wild
really
to
shit the
me.
bed on this. And Lee Winnell produced all the movies after this, but he didn't write them. And I love him as a writer up until the third act of this movie.
Because all this crazy shit's happening. Because, they made it seem like that's like, okay, that's the end. Go all out. And then it's...
3 was just kind of a clusterfuck. Still not the worst one.
No, we're going to get to that much later.
But we'll get there.
Well, we'll get there. Is there any other thoughts? Anyone else has some thoughts?
I am so done with Saw
I'm over
3.
3,
You're
yeah.
like, I'm fucking over it. Oh my god.
After watching that one, I was like, I don't know if I'm super excited for this series anymore. Because going in, I was like, I'm finally gonna watch all the Saw movies. Yes, and then
Wait, did you finish it? Did you finish,
I've watched all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like,
It is easy to break this franchise up. Like you have the first trilogy, which ends John Kramer active as a Jigsaw, and then 4, 5, 6, and 7 is like the soap opera meat of this franchise.
Yeah.
And then after 7, it's just kind of like, how can we keep this franchise alive? Installments.
Anthology.
I'm excited. The apology sequels. I really like Saw 4.
Killing off Kramer was
I wonder
obviously.
why.
I'm looking at my notes on 4. I'm trying to figure out why.
That's the one that reveals Hoffman as
Okay.
Jigsaw.
Yeah, I was like, we're already on here. Let's just
We
skip it.
moving
It's
on to
fine.
Saw 4?
Yeah, no.
I think we're on Saw 4. I got no complaints.
It opens with the autopsy of John Kramer, and despite his
I
death.
love that. That is the best scene of the movie because it's just so like. First of all, it's gruesome. Surgical stuff grosses me out. You know, I
Same.
love shit like Terrifier, but I can't handle like surgery.
Yeah.
The
That's kinda real,
autopsy
though.
of John Kramer is just like raw mid-2000s horror, just like his brain and his heart coming out, like it's disgusting. They could have pulled a Friday the 13th or like something and been like, oh, he had a twin brother. He ended up surviving, like they stitched his throat shut, but that was them just like committing to killing off John Kramer, and they're like, we got this. Rest of the franchise without him. It was, I don't know. It was a great way to start this this new era of Saw movies.
And you want to tell everyone why? Why you think so?
Well, Hoffman doesn't come in till the end. I just think it kicks off that like that soap opera narrative where it's like we have Agent Strom, and then we have, you know, Hoffman. Eric Matthews is still alive. Jigsaw is training a new apprentice as all this bullshit's going on. I don't know. There's so much to love about Saw 4.
Indiana Old says the autopsy scene.
No, don't read that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that Indiana Old.
You know,
I ain't saying nothing.
you gotta leave it to people pointing that out, because then once you know that, you can't unsee it.
Mhm.
Kind of like
Are we thinking about the same
No,
thing?
Weasel?
I was gonna say that. That's literally what I think about because of Blake. That's what I think about every
Wait, what
time.
do you think
What?
about?
Weasel.
What?
Weasel's dick.
What brought up?
Literally, when I tell you, I was like, we were sitting in the theater watching the Suicide Squad and like rewatching. He's like, look at him, and I was like, what do you mean? And then I was like, you just ruined this scene for me, and now I just like want to die every time I watch
was like,
that
it's the
scene.
Weasel stride. He's out.
Just-
He's got
And
everything.
he'll do it, and I'm like,
Hanging
stop.
dong.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's free.
I think what we were thinking of was last week where we were at the 1975 concert.
Oh my god.
Oh,
And-
did he really just?
Okay,
But
so
no.
there was this.
Oh, I was like,
Wait, what? Oh no.
No, he didn't
I
just
was like, are you gonna
flash
tell
us
me
or
that
anything.
Matthew like
No.
flashed everyone? Because like nothing surprised me about this man anymore.
No.
So midway through the set, they move over. It's like a big arena, so you know there's the main stage, and a lot of times at arena shows they'll do part of it at the other side. So they move over there. They have a smaller set. And
Surprise us, by the way. They've never done this before.
yeah, it wasn't shown on the internet or anything. This was the first show they did this, and this smaller set is like a green patch of grass, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's a body double of Matty Healy, and it's like butt naked, and he goes and like curls up next to it. They're both in the fetal position, but the body double is completely naked, and that was way far away because we were in the pit on one side, but then on the big screen, you know, they have the cameras up on it, and like the man is fully naked
For a
and
split second.
There's a lot of children at that show. I just thought that was
Hey, listen, I don't think that they make music for children, so
no, they make music for cars.
get out.
No.
But we digress.
We digress. Where were we?
Yeah.
Saw 4?
Saw 4.
Saw 4.
Have we even said
We're an hour
autopsy?
in, and
talking
we're
about
at
the
Saw
autopsy.
4.
The autopsy.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, this all started with Jigsaw Dong.
It did.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we started
We are
talking
so
about
getting
Weasel. That's my bad.
demonetized.
That's my bad.
We got
Luke from Gilmore Girls is the new detective.
the one note I can see it because I don't read his notes, but every time I look over, I see in like huge letters Luke from Gilmore Girls. It's in, like, the
Oh
biggest
I never
writing.
even watched
God.
that show. Ooh, I should text my sister-in-law because she like loves that show.
It's my favorite show of all time.
Like, this your guy? This your guy?
Scott Patterson. Seth Morrison says, "I'm only a state away from you guys." Let's make guesses.
We
Who wants
gotta
to put
gotta
bets on
hold the
which-
Last Scare convention.
Ooh.
We got
Wait,
fans.
from us?
People will
From
show
I
up.
feel like Jordan's told me, but
So it would be Oklahoma or Louisiana or New Mexico.
New Mexico.
I think Louisiana.
New
I'm
Mexico.
gonna put my bets on Louisiana.
What was the third one?
Oklahoma.
I'm gonna say that
I'm
one.
going to say Oklahoma to be contrarian.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Do we have one more state bordering us? Like in the corner?
Oklahoma!
Yes, I was right.
He's like, okay.
Okay.
He said K.
Nate.
He dropped a K in the chat.
Okay. I felt like the motive for Rig was kind of like lackluster. He's this guy that wants
It
to
was
save
random.
people too much. I'm like, okay, all right,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I didn't really have any strong feelings about this one.
Matthews, we find out, what happens to him, and then, he gets his fate. But
Ooh, that was
It was a
That
good
was
trap.
a good one.
it's
Very
a real.
good one.
It's probably my favorite one in the
That's the one that I was
between that one and
talking
the
about,
scalping. I'm
the
sorry.
climax being a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Just like Saw 3, it was like, okay, he had to have the gun to prevent Rig from coming through that door.
Oh my god.
He
Yeah.
shoots him, but he smashes through the door anyway. So the ice hits him in the head, and Hoffman's there still.
he's there.
He's just there, and then Rig's still alive, and then Hoffman's like, "I am Jigsaw. I am him." There's nothing special about it, but I really liked this one. I think I like not knowing who the fuck was doing all this the entire time, and then the end is like, oh, it's not really for Rig. The whole thing was really for Hoffman. Like if he can really stand in Jigsaw's shadow, which he does very well. So we get him for the next couple sequels.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I think that was kind of what it was meant for, just to set up.
It was the prelude to Hoffman Jigsaw era.
Hoffman was spoiled for me, so I really didn't get that edge to like, oh, I wonder who this is. It just I kind of knew. It's not bad. It's not a bad Saw movie. I just don't have anything interesting to say about it. It's a Saw movie.
I actually had a really convoluted time with Saw 4. Now that I remember it, I saw one a while ago. I saw 7 before I saw any of these movies back when it first came on TV. So I recognized Hoffman. Totally forgot everything about Saw 7, but I recognized him. And then I watched Saw 4 and I'm like, that's the guy from like the one I saw a while ago. And I remember how Saw 7 ended, so I was so confused. And then he's like, I'm the killer, and I'm just like, oh, that does make sense now, huh? So the twist still got me, but I was just, it took so much more time for me to get there mentally.
Early on in this movie, I was predicting that there was going to be a crossover ending with number 3. I was pretty sure that the way the timeline was going, I was like, this is going to end up intersecting with the end of 3. And they end up intersecting with the end of 3 for like all 3 of the last ones, maybe.
There was an end credit scene to Saw
6.
something.
6.
Yeah.
They don't revisit it, which I have
That's the one. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay. I don't know why that one just popped into my head, because it has to do with 3, right?
Yes. No.
It's Amanda.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I have a note about that. Saw 4 is the one where they realized we shouldn't have killed Kramer off in the last. Why did we do that? Why did we do that? And so.
And then that other guy was like, "Why did we kill Amanda too?"
And they still managed to make Kramer sort of be the villain for all 7, basically 9 out of 10 movies, actually.
Yeah, his presence is always felt.
Spiral.
All of them except Spiral and Saw X, but we'll get to that.
That just goes to show, it's like, you think when they kill him off too, and you're like, oh, so you could feel like, it missing something, but like you always feel his presence even when he's not, there.
They pulled a Season of the Witch. Saw 3 and Saw Halloween 3 were both like, let's see if this franchise can stand without our main villain. It cannot. So they brought them back for 4.
He's the moral center of the franchise. He's a good person. He's a good person with values.
Anybody.
He's never killed anyone. He finds murder distasteful.
He was
the best guy around. What about the people he murdered? What murder?
He's got like a Batman sense of
That's
justice.
me. That's totally me. Me defending John Kramer with my life.
Like, you stole something? I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna suck the eyeballs out of your head for pickpocketing.
Oh no. Oh, that was I will get to it. I won't say anything now.
But we'll get
No.
there, Jayla.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll get there.
get
Come
there.
on. We got other ones to get through.
I
Now
love that
my
you can
monologue about
actively
Saw.
defend John Kramer and also detest his
Yes.
actions. I don't detest his
Yeah.
actions. I defend his actions because he's a good person.
supporter.
I detest his actions when he gets someone who's like genuinely struggling with stuff in their life, and he's like, "You don't value your life,"
Fair
and
enough.
just puts them in like the worst.
Razor blade trap.
He just wants to show people that
Oh,
life
yeah.
is worth the living.
He wants to make people have their will to live.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah, no, he's done nothing wrong.
What do you say? So you're like a motivational speaker, something like that.
Saw 5.
His voice is too good. I can't.
It is.
Okay, you ready to move on?
Saw 5.
We are ready for
Saw
Saw
5.
V. Saw V.
V.
Sav.
I get very confused with like the Roman numerals. So I'm
I
like,
learned Roman numerals because of Saw.
sometimes some of them I still forget. So I'm like, I have to just put the number.
Relatable.
They really drilled Roman numerals into our heads at my school when I was younger.
My school could not care less.
I think as a kid, Star Wars really confused me. And then my parents were like, the Roman numerals. I'm like, what are Roman numerals? And then I went down a rabbit hole and I love Roman numerals now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on Saw 5 now.
Yeah, we're back to like the highlights of Saw for me, at least.
It is going steadily uphill for me too.
Yes, I actually am a fan of Saw 5. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It gave me the vibes that Saw 2 did. You know, these group of people, they're kind of like going through each room together. I really enjoyed that. I like that we had, I forgot his name as the Strom. That was Luke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Strom. He was a very interesting character. He was a lot of fun to have around. I wished he stuck around, but I enjoyed his bit and I enjoyed following the Fatal Five as well. So it was really well balanced for me.
They had two of my favorite traps in this. That was really good. Wait.
I don't know if I could pick like a specific trap I like the most because my favorite part of this is how like easy it could have been, if that makes sense. The reveal that they could have breezed by this whole thing if they worked together and they didn't. If I had to pick one in particular, I guess I'd go ahead and pick Headcube, where he had to give himself a
Yeah, the water
tracheotomy. Yeah.
Strom was the fucking king for that.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I can't believe I almost forgot that. That's by far my favorite part of this. Or sorry, trap-wise was tracheotomy.
His voice gets
there
really
was like
funny
two.
after that.
There was like
Yeah.
two kind of like that. There was like
In the rare
water cube
time,
that, like,
someone beats the trap.
It was really impressive the way he did it, though. Like you'd think,
Determination.
yeah, that's true determination,
He had the will to live.
and the smarts under pressure.
His demise kind of pissed me off, mostly because I love Gilmore Girls, and he's one of my favorite characters in
He
that
was
too.
such a
His
great character.
demise did not piss me off because Hoffman Kingy. So
They just squashed him. They fucking trash compacted his ass.
Yeah, they took a while with it too. It was very
Made me upset.
unsettling. His
Loved,
arm snapping.
Hoffman's shit-eating grin, like
He's going down
so
like
good.
Dracula
they
into
said
his
it.
little
The only
box
way
of
out of that
dirt.
room was like in that fucking tube thing, and he threw Hoffman in there, and he was like,
All he had to do was listen to the tape for like 3 seconds longer.
"Didn't he pause it?"
Yeah, he paused
Yeah.
it, and when he replayed it, it revealed that if he would have just listened a little bit longer, he would have known. But
he
no.
basically looked at them and was like, "Get fucked."
Yeah.
What? No. His voice gets
This
really
was
funny.
this was Hoffman's backstory movie too, right? It was all the
Yeah.
flashbacks. How
Mhm.
Copycat.
the pendulum opening. Oh,
Yes.
Oh,
another
ouchie.
another Jigsaw trap that was not meant to be one.
Yeah. That was a
He-
full-on revenge for his sister.
Why did Kramer pick just the two worst people to carry on his legacy?
He has his reasons.
I mean, if I had to say, it's like you gotta pick somebody that has like I want to say the balls to continue what he wanted
That
to
was
do.
Amanda. Amanda had the gumption, and I think Hoffman
Just was like
he was-
whatever.
he was in a position of power. Like he was in the police, and he was using Jigsaw as like a mask to kind of take his own personal revenge. And Jigsaw's like, that fascinates me. So that explains Hoffman's inclusion, and he made a good choice. A lot of people also forget Hoffman was his first apprentice before Amanda. Everyone forgets that. Like Cam said, that since they all kind of like pick up and end together, it's really easy to just be like, which one was that? Which one did Kramer's backstory? which
Mhm.
one was Hoffman. Like it's all.
Why
over the place.
that's why again, like sometimes if I forget what the actual plot is, I'll look at literally. I was doing it earlier, just a brush up, and I was like, oh, that trap, got it, never mind.
Mm-hmm. It's
'Cause
the
that's-
traps are like who's the main hero
Yeah,
of it because
true.
they're all different.
And that's like, or it's like that one specific trap that stands out throughout the entire
Mhm.
movie. That's like, okay,
Yeah.
I can identify that.
Yeah, my favorite trap in this one was when they have to use the car battery things, the terminals, something, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
They have to bridge the electric gap and put the lady in the bathtub and hook up all the things to
She didn't
her
deserve
to
that.
get that going. And then you find out, oh, this
It's
would have gone a
intense.
lot better if we had other people to work with. But they
Mhm.
fucked up.
It's so funny looking back because, like, yeah, more than one person could have fit in one tunnel. They could have done that. They could have just helped each other out.
Yep, teamwork. That's the lesson.
They could have.
That's where they fumbled.
This movie
Yeah.
was all retcons at the end. Just all
Oops,
the
all
back.
retcons.
Oops, all retcon. You stole that from me.
No, I didn't.
Oops,
I honestly,
alright,
but
cool.
that's usually what happens.
I can make
so many
one of my
movies. You jump
favorite.
around.
Oh my god! I also
Oops,
eat
all
Captain
retcons.
Crunch. Oops, all berries. So I know the same joke.
I guess we just make that joke a lot, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, okay.
I know. Read your notes.
It was maybe a subconscious thing.
I didn't read
I've
it
had
at
my
all.
note-
It
I've
wasn't
had my notebook
subconsciously
open.
read.
Guys,
I
it
was
is
not reading your
possible to have the
notes.
same thought at the same time.
We do that a
Now
lot.
we're bickering.
It is. It is very possible. Well, I feel like if you agree with something, like someone's like, "Oh, I said," like it's not a, that's the point. Like more than one person's supposed to get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes like that's that to me too. He's like, you stole that from me, and I was like, no, I can see it too. Like I'm not dumb.
No, you steal some things from me.
Earlier today, we were like excited because we were like, if Sabrina's driving the boat for this episode, then Blake and Sabrina are going to end up bickering throughout the episode because they were bickering when Blake drove the boat, and
That's right.
and then we ended up bickering before y'all did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, we've been on our best behavior.
No, there's still time. There's still time. We were bickering about something with Saw 2 the other day after Saw X, so that's why I'm like, I don't think we've gotten there yet.
I'm trying to think of any sequels that we disagree on that we're gonna bicker about.
I feel like we're going to have all four of us, just going to start bickering when we get to Spiral. It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah.
I think we're all gonna be on the same page with Spiral. I think 7 is the one where I'm gonna come to blows with people because I really like that one.
Interesting.
Oh,
Well, that's all I got for
But we'll get there.
5.
Yeah, I unfortunately covered the ending to 5 first. So we already got that. The little Hoffman's escape and Strom's squish. Oh, and Strom was successfully framed as Jigsaw.
Yes.
Hoffman planted his phone at the lair. So from the end of Saw 5 into this next movie, they think Strom was Jigsaw.
Savi.
Really?
Savi.
Savi.
I like this one too, but I feel like Blake really. You know what? I kind of, not to like say because I don't want to do it, but because I know how much Blake loves Hoffman. I kind of want to let him talk about it.
I love Saw 6. Love this
Yeah, I'm
one.
gonna let him talk about it because he basically did it from the last one. So I was like, you can talk about your boy Hoffman because I know I can see it on your face. You're dying.
I get 2 more with him. I get 2 more movies with Hoffman in the at the wheel. Oh, this one has another one of my favorite traps. What was it called?
The carousel?
Sabrina? Shotgun.
Oh.
The shotgun carousel. Yes.
Shotgun carousel.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I love that one. It's like mentally torturous when you really think about it. You don't envy this guy, the decision that he has to make. And why Saw, they're all enjoyable, but why Saw 6 stands out above like the rest to me is Hoffman has 2 amazing scenes. The one where they found the recording of Jigsaw's voice and he's in the room like, oh fuck, that's my voice. And they're unscrambling it. And as they unscramble it and deduce that it's his voice, he just slits one guy's throat and like stabs the other. Like he kills all of them.
Literally immediately cleans up all his loose ends. He's like, all right, we gotta do this.
The room. He ate his entire plate and left no crumbs. And Jill, Jill Tuck.
Fuck Jill.
Gets him. Yeah, Jill gets him, straps him into the chair, puts him in the reverse bear trap.
Again.
And leaves. Yeah, again, locks him
Gonna
in the
watch
room.
him.
And you think that's the end. She leaves. She was all cocky, but no, he used that head to smash his hand, break through the straps, and then he goes to that door with the bars on it, smashes his head with the reverse bear trap in it, and it snaps open and stops. And the badass pulls his head out of that, and it ends. Oh, best
Crazy.
ending to a Saw movie.
Yeah,
of
He's
real
all
chef's
time.
kiss of an ending there.
Crazy.
At this point, my first watch, I was like, how is he getting out of it? And it just ends. I'm like, okay. Saw 6 is like one of the best.
Yeah.
I actually think at the time my ranking was like 2-1-6. Like it was just
Wow.
it's still like a top 4 or 5 for
Yeah.
me, even after Saw X. But that ending, I was like Hoffman, John Kramer, Hoffman, best Saw characters.
Absolutely.
I can agree.
I want to jump in real quick because Indiana Old reminded me one of my favorite moments. They mentioned Umbrella Medical,
Corporation.
and was like, oh, we're dealing with Resident Evil stuff now because they're dealing with gene science and all that. So zombies exist in the Saw universe. You cannot tell me otherwise.
That's a stretch, but okay.
There they go bickering again.
Here we go again.
Grr.
But no, anyways, I do enjoy this one quite a bit. I enjoy the idea. This one feels like it gets more mean-spirited the further removed we are from Kramer. And this one feels
because
super
Hoffman
mean-spirited.
doesn't have that like humanity that John Kramer does, which is such a weird word to use for him before Saw X. But
No,
yes,
true.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
before Saw X, you don't really feel too bad for him. You kind of see where he's coming from.
You
see his backstory with his wife and the kid.
I always felt for my boy.
Yeah, never mind. That's true. Even with the shit that happened to John Kramer, he never like. I don't know if you tell me if it's weird to say this, but he never struck me as evil. Does that
John?
make sense? John, yeah.
That's
John
what I've been
Kramer.
saying. He's
Yeah,
a good
never
person.
felt evil. Whereas, you know, he rolled with the punches, but Hoffman, something really bad happened to him, and he lost that humanity. He was just evil going forward. Like, he didn't really have those
Yeah.
redeeming qualities. At least with John Kramer, he's just like, I want to teach people a lesson. Hoffman was just like, fuck you, and killed them.
Yeah,
With
without a second thought.
Yeah.
with all of these traps that Hoffman set up, they're all like, you gotta pick someone to live, you gotta pick someone to die, pretty much. Except for the first one,
So
which
mean.
he got put up against a smoker, like a 70-something-year-old smoker, and they had to hold their breath.
That was
That was so
my-
twisted.
He's
That-
an asshole. I
That
love
was
him.
so funny to me because like that blatant assholery. It's like you're
And then it's
You know that motherfucker's rewatching the tapes like,
Kramer
Like,
hates addicts.
yeah. And then they followed
Like-
it up with this poor kid. He had like his secretary and then this like kid. And he's like, do you want to kill the super lonely kid with no family or her sweet secretary? And her lovely family, or the super loner. Look at all these pictures of him being alone. And
She's
sad.
a fat bitch, but guess what? Someone loves her.
asshole. I love him.
He's like tons of pictures of this poor kid all by himself, and you're just like, I'm sure he has a friend or something.
It's like I've actually got like a whole group of friends we meet every week.
He's
You know, we
gonna
met in college.
Die
you
and
know,
no one will notice.
we meet at the bar every week.
My favorite was also the carousel. That was one I was most excited for Cam to see because that's the one I remember from the promotions. That's
Yeah.
the one they were hyping up. That was like the big deal. That
From-
was rough.
So Kramer is talking to William Easton at one point, which is the insurance guy who's basically the subject of all of these. And he's not, revealed to the public yet to be Jigsaw, but he just can't help himself because he just starts going on about people's will to live and just straight up calling Easton out for his bullshit before he, traps him and everything. This is also the movie where I feel like Sabrina probably loves this movie because this is basically where it's like, this is the Jigsaw cult. This is the one where you see Kramer has Amanda and Hoffman under him, and it's like this is a cult for sure. And once I saw Saw 6, I was like, this is why Sabrina loves these movies. Either that or this is the first one where she started loving cults.
And 7 takes that shit even farther too.
Probably. I like when it's done right though. When it's done good.
When it's done for someone like Jigsaw, that works. When it's done for someone like that Creeper, it doesn't really work.
That's the sentence that triggers me. Blake likes to remind me that I was like the queen of Delulu during that.
I watched that movie with her. she was so in denial. She's like, it's not that. I'm like, Sabrina, this is like one of the worst movies I've ever fucking seen.
Oh
I
no!
was like, don't
She's
say
like,
that.
it's
Don't
not
say
like
that.
the creeper looks pretty cool. I'm like, he looks the same, just worse makeup.
I was fighting for my
I'm
life.
like, they didn't change anything
I
about
was
him.
literally, I remember watching the trailer on here too, and everyone else was just like silent, and I was like, that looks so good. And you guys are like,
I was like, Sabrina. I was just, I can't take this from her. She'll see it someday.
I was like, I can't. Literally, like, I waited so long for him to be with someone else, and then it just doesn't work. And oh my god, it's so bad.
We've all been there. I've been there.
Jordan said, I'm glad Sabrina has come to her senses.
Jordan.
Brutal.
You've come to your senses.
Jordan, I'm sorry to break it to you, but I'm still a little delulu about it.
The queen
No,
of
I just
Delulu.
Like, I would probably never fully watch that again, but I still gotta defend it because it's him and I love him.
It's,
Gotta?
no.
I-
It's like
I
a
made Blake
reboot. You
promise
don't have
me-
to.
No, I made Blake promise me if he makes it in the horror world, he has to make me a creeper movie better and let me be a consultant on it. Because, like, I need justice for him now that he's away from He Shall Not Be Named. I want better for him, and like that's why I got very excited about this. But just
I've never been that hurt by a horror movie, thankfully.
Oh.
I don't think
man.
I've like, because like I wasn't old enough when like Freddy and Jason movies were regularly coming out, so like I couldn't love them enough. What'll hurt me is if Terrifier 3 is bad.
Ooh,
I'll
you
cry.
take that back
Oh,
right now. Don't
I'm not
say
even
that
worried
loud.
about that.
Then I cry. I'm not worried about
that.
that either. I'm just saying that's the only one where
like the petty part of me wants to be like, finally you'll experience the pain that I'm in, and you could stop roasting me about it. But I also wish that
I
upon
saw
my
the Nightmare on
birthday.
Elm Street remake. I suffered enough.
No,
Texas
I saw
Chainsaw
Halloween Ends.
22.
I suffered enough.
no.
Texas Chainsaw 22. I was viscerally angry after that movie. I was like fuming. I was actually upset that I sat down and I spent my time watching that movie. I was mad. I don't remember the last time I watched a movie and I finished it angry like I did finishing Texas Chainsaw 22. Hated that movie. Anyways.
If there's anyone that understands me, it's Jayla. She knows. She gets it.
It's painful.
She knows what it's like because, listen. I don't love the first Texas Chainsaw. By the way, I don't. I just have to admit that now. Sorry, I know you guys can throw tomatoes and everything at me, but I didn't love it.
I'll let you have this one pass, Sabrina.
No, I felt bad because like I know it's one of like notorious, like most iconic and most famous horror movies, and I was like, I don't think I've ever watched it. Didn't like it, and I felt bad that I didn't like it because I was like, it's obviously famous and good, iconic.
1,000 times. I was like, it doesn't. You're. Fine.
I was like, is that
You can
bad that I didn't
dislike
like
it.
it?
If I was one of those toxic cinephiles after I watched it with her, I'd be like, how did you not like Texas Chainsaw Massacre? It's not for everyone. It's a disgusting movie. I love it.
Was it the reboot or remake? What is it?
The remake.
I like that one better.
I'm going to out myself right now. I didn't really care for The Exorcist.
Me either.
Toxic cinephile.
Wait, the OG one?
You're right.
The
I'm
OG
okay.
one.
It's all love.
And this is something I've said a whole bunch of times before. It's because I don't believe in ghosts and demons, and it just doesn't work for me.
I feel like it was so hyped up for me by the time I finally watched it.
Yeah.
It suffers from the syndrome of like inspiring all these incredible movies throughout the years and being the first one that does it. That when you finally go back and start with it, it kind of feels derivative, even though it was the start. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point.
That's actually a good point. I
love Texas Chainsaw 1.
I still. Did he leave?
Blake just quit.
Blake is gone.
Oh my god, he left. Oh my god. Me if I.
He's like, I'm keeping my cool.
He's
Fuck
gonna
Cam.
see this. I know
Done
he's
with
gonna
him.
see this later. He's gonna kill me. But like that would be like me saying I don't like Terrifier, which I know he doesn't know that I don't love them. But like that would be like full on insulting it. He would like come and kill me.
So, what trap do you guys think you could survive?
All of them.
No.
I'm smart. I'm built different.
You have to pick one that you feel like you could handle.
I don't know about that. See, I don't even know how I could answer that. Surviving any of them? No, because the whole good part about it is watching other people go through that and be like, oh yeah. Like when you watch movies and you're like, oh, I could survive that. No, you can't. No, you can't. Anybody would like, hi Blake.
Yeah,
I had a
Blake,
Wi-Fi issue. I promise I didn't
Oh.
just storm off.
Blake was like, I'm fucking done
like,
with Cam.
bye.
I literally
Bye.
said I was like me when I tell Blake how much I don't like Terrifier. He just storms off.
That I get. That one's a lot.
T1. Oh, I'm so excited. We get to
Speaking
see
of that-
T2. We get to see T2 on the big screen again in 2 weeks,
In the
Oh my God, it is in
Terrifier
2
3
weeks.
trailer.
which is
But
weird
I'm
because have they
letting
even
him-
shot any of it?
I'm letting him
Yeah.
drag me to go so we can go see Terrifier 3's little trailer, and he gets a little poster.
And get a free poster.
He's so excited, and I'm like, listen, like I may not love them, but because of how happy it makes him, I can't not be excited for that.
He's my little freak.
I have a quick question for Cam and Jayla, because me and Blake
Yes.
already know ours. Who in horror is your silly little guy?
How is it not Art?
Is it Art?
I love art.
Art's a silly little guy.
I guess like Pennywise maybe because it is the toy phone from Skinamarink. That's my
No, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, that is your silly little guy.
It is my silly little guy. I would probably get a tattoo of that.
That'd be a sick tattoo.
What, the
Yeah.
little phone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it. I
Hey,
love that shit.
That's then if that happens, Cam, if you actually make that happen, we're making Sabrina watch the movie.
She's got to watch it by end of year anyway. You got to, when y'all hang out for Christmas or something, you got to make her watch it.
You know
She's
what?
gonna be here next week. Let's make her watch Skinamarink
Next week already? Do it. Let's do it.
I can't think of my silly little guy.
Fine. You know what? I will watch it.
Blinking.
If I can't sleep, I'm keeping your ass up with me.
That's so worth it. We're watching Skinamarink.
Next week? I'm so
I
fucking
know I'm gonna be
excited.
sleeping next to him and I'm gonna be like, babe, I'm scared. Like I'm gonna
It's
be like,
not
keep the
that
lights on.
scary.
I looked at tweets and I couldn't sleep. Let alone
The movie's
watching it.
basically
I'm
just like a nightmare.
So telephone from Skinamarink for Cam. Jayla, is yours Art or
I'm
Is that
so
Ghostface?
struggling.
I was gonna say Ghostface.
Ghostface doesn't feel like a silly little guy label to me, though. You know what
What
I
about
mean?
Stu specifically?
or
Ooh.
Yeah, I think
What about
Stu's
Freddy?
a
There
silly
you
little
go.
guy because he's a silly little guy.
Yeah.
what about Freddy? Is he also your silly little guy? You can have multiple silly little guys.
I can't have
two.
multiple. I was thinking about the alien from that one scene, Signs, specifically the birthday party tape.
Mm.
Oh, that guy?
Silly little guy.
My silly little guy is the girl from Lake Mungo with her face all messed
Oh
up.
no, absolutely not.
Oh my
Jayla-
That
I
Jayla
just
hates
told
that
Sabrina
so
who
bad.
that is.
that movie like
Or what it
crushed
is.
me, and I can't. That movie
Oh,
makes me
okay.
upset. It terrifies me on like a.
Never
no.
seen it, but I saw someone talk about it and I asked him. He's like, "You don't want to watch that." And I was
It's not for
Yeah.
everyone,
It's
but
upsetting.
if
I didn't
you
like it.
connect with like the core themes, it can be really upsetting.
I will say Mike Flanagan loves that, that reveal, and he did it better in Haunting of Hill House.
Which you know about now.
All I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I've seen all of those things.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of those yet.
You
I'm
haven't
gonna
seen
make
Hill
you watch
House?
You know,
Hill House is good. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, I love Hill House. We also need to watch. We need to watch the new VHS.
we
We
got.
started it.
Ooh.
I haven't loved them since the second one. So.
Ooh.
I have somehow loved all of them, so I'm giving it a benefit of the doubt right now because we haven't gotten like that far. So I was like, maybe it's just not the good sketches we got up to yet. But
Where were we?
Saw 7, I think.
Oh.
Moving on.
Oh no, Blake. I hope we're still friends by the end of this.
We'll see. This is the one. We'll
God,
see how
it's
much
brutal
you
out here.
dislike it.
My heart just shattered. I'm on the line. I'm on
is this
thin
one
ice.
also one of your faves, Blake? I
Saw
feel
7? I don't know if it's one of my faves, but there's a lot that I love about it. This is one of the first. I went and saw 1, saw 7, not close together, but I saw 7 before any of the others. The traps I thought were good, even though they do the cheesy 3D kind of thing. This one was called Saw the Final Chapter, which was a lie, and Saw 3D, which I thought was really stupid. 2010, yeah, so it came out after Avatar. That's why they did that. I like that they brought Dr. Gordon back. That's one of the reasons why I love this movie.
That was good.
And I love the premise that the main guy going through the traps lied, that he had this whole book and story, and we got the classic Jigsaw with the backwards hat meme, trying to fit in and look different.
Oh,
And
you mean that's been all over my timeline every day? Everyone's like, "What is this?"
Yes,
It's not that big
exactly
a deal.
that.
Just watch the movie.
it's genuinely funny, and the guy's forced to do the hooks through his chest, the exact thing he lied about, and he failed because it's really hard. Like, that would suck to have to put the hooks in your chest and climb up. Also had one of the best endings. Hoffman finally tracked down Jill, put her ass in the chair, put the bear trap on, and watched her let the clock run out in it. Oh, that's what I was telling Sabrina before the start. The very
Yes.
first time we got to see the reverse bear trap work. Never seen it.
Yes,
We've
that was
never
very
seen
satisfying.
it
So
successfully
satisfying.
kill someone until this one.
That was
It's
really
perfect.
cool.
3 times
They get
over, and
Hoffman.
that's why it's still the
Yeah.
best trap.
You think it ends with his triumph, but he gets taken by Dr. Gordon, which I thought was the perfect loop around, and he throws the saw out of the room. He's just like, stay here and rot. Ends there.
I love that the two of them are like enemies. I love that.
Got to bring
Bring
it
him
back to
back.
the original.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But don't do it till the last one. Scream 5 is the one I think where they're like, bring it back to the original. It's like, no, don't do that till the end. I like that they did it in this one. They bring it back full circle to everything. I thought we were going to be dealing with Gordon for like a bunch of these movies because his death was vague, and I knew that Cary Elwes returns. So I was worried that we were going to be dealing with him for a bunch of movies. But I actually appreciated his appearance at the ending of this. Yeah.
Right.
So in the beginning, he was in the little the little circle group.
I don't know if they should have given away that he lived at the very beginning of the movie by showing the flashback of him cauterizing his leg. I think that really kind of killed the excitement of him showing up again. They could have saved that for the...
That could have been a good twist. The pig man is just... Those are my thoughts on that. I love that he gets a bunch of racists at one point.
Yeah, Chester.
Probably,
Chester Bennington.
Yeah, that was great.
I think I'd call that my favorite kill of the movie. No.
Yes.
No. Jill with the bear trap.
My hot takes. First, I will say the ending in particular kind of ruined this for me because of Joyce's death. I feel like she was so not involved. She didn't even know he was lying, and she had a brutal death. Like the last thing.
That was uncalled for.
Yeah, it was super uncalled for. It didn't really fit in with the whole thing for me because she didn't know, and she got like melted alive.
That was
yikes.
Brutal. Yeah.
That rubbed me the wrong way the way it landed. I wish we had a little bit more time with the other survivors, although I do like the idea and the concept that the main person going through this is someone that's been lying about it. That's cool. I just wish we could have gotten a little bit more with them. I don't know if you guys know this. This was actually supposed to be a 2-parter ending for Saw, but they decided to take that money and spend it on being a 3D movie instead. So that's why we didn't get more. We would have gotten more Gordon. We would have gotten more of a fleshed out wrap up if we didn't have 3D. That makes me a bit sad on the inside. I just feel like, what could have been, you know?
I remember this early 2010s era of everything was coming out in 3D, and most of the movies weren't even shot for it. It wasn't like Spy Kids or Friday the 13th 3. It was just, let's just kind of finagle the 3D. We'll do it in post. And there were only like 2 sequences in this that I thought were really made for 3D. There's like a key, but it's 3 frames. Like it looks like shit. It looks really bad.
Yeah.
This one I saw in theaters. This one I 1000%.
This was also the only or one of the only public Jigsaw traps.
Yeah, that's the only one.
It felt
the only
off.
one. And when it's the only one and that was the execution of it, it's another one of my gripes with it. It was
I thought it was a movie within a movie. I didn't actually believe it was happening. And also because their acting is so corny. Like this whole movie, the whole movie, the tone seems really off. It seems really campy, but not funny. It seems like really kind of heightened acting, but it's not funny. I don't know. It just didn't really mesh for me.
I agree with that.
One thing I do want to say that I found kind of funny was like he goes through all these traps, and this is the final game we're gonna get, and the big thing he needs to do is remove his own wisdom teeth, and like that sucks. But compared to like some of these other things, I feel like he got up a little bit easy before he had to like hoist himself up by his muscles, which he could have like used his shoes or something, right?
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, justice for Joyce. It still had some fun in it. Like Blake said earlier, like Cam said earlier, seeing the reverse bear trap actually work was a treat and was worth it.
Yeah, that was a delicious sequence. I don't know if it was any different. I don't know why I said that.
Delicious.
I don't know if it was different in the R-rated version because we just watched the unrated versions, but it's fucking brutal. Like it's a face like hard ripping open. I don't know what it looks like in the other version. It's just amazing to me how much shit John Kramer set into action before he died, because it all finally culminates and ends in this movie. But basically he's pulling strings from beyond just for 4 movies after his death, and
Mhm.
it's wild how much happens because of Jordan says, I'm going to start using the word delicious to describe my favorite gore scenes now. You and me gorehounds got to stick together.
Oh god, literally Blake. He's like, oh, this is delicious. Stop.
Absolutely delicious.
Yummy.
Mm.
Ew.
Chef's fingers.
Although
Mm.
you said the budget for part 2 went to making it 3D. I do like the just abrupt ending. I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty perfect. As like the conclusion to Saw, locking the new villain up, throwing away the hacksaw. That was pretty perfect.
No, I agree. I just got a little bit more. You know me, I'm always wanting a little bit more.
We still can now that Saw has that little revival.
Yeah.
Someone said it, and I had the idea anyway that Hoffman's still alive and tracks down the new killer from the next movie, and fucking stupid ass Schenk or whatever from Spiral, all the wannabe Jigsaw killers.
There's actually some more to that we'll get to and get to Saw X.
Ooh, okay, good.
Some more juicy tidbits we have there.
Juicy
Good.
bits.
And Hoffman era
Juicy
is
bits.
over, so if my Wi-Fi cuts out again, just leave me behind. I'll be back. What does Jigsaw have in store for us?
Don't like it. It's like my second least favorite.
It's a weird one.
Okay, we're in Jigsaw.
We're
It's got a
inside
cool
Jigsaw.
name because
So
it's
sorry.
instead of just Saw, it's Jigsaw. So like to make it all quirky and unique and different. Gotta give him respect for that. We start off where it's been 10 years since Jigsaw died. However, after a series of new murders occur, police find themselves chasing after original Jigsaw killer, John Kramer. Could he still be alive? Or is it another killer out there with a different motive? It turns out Kramer had a second thought and saved someone he had placed in a trap. That survivor went on to become a new Jigsaw, attempting to recreate the same trap he was placed in years ago. And I don't love it. I just I like the traps, but just not a lot of takeaway from this one. What is everyone else's thoughts?
I'm curious to what you two think about this one. I thought it was pretty mediocre. There was nothing glaringly bad about it, but there was nothing,
Like
really
standoff.
too good. Yeah, nothing that stood out.
I didn't have too much beef with Jigsaw. I had fun with a lot of the traps. I feel really weird about the twists that we're watching something that happened in the past, but also while all this is going on in the past, there's another game that's happening present tense that has the same kind of people in it, so he's able to set up these bodies.
Didn't like that. I didn't.
What?
In Saw 6, like, we already know that, John Kramer died and everything, but then they go back and they're talking about, like, him with his health insurance. So it's like, that stuff is, like, just, like, little standpoint moments. But, like, when they go back and forth from past and present like that, in Jigsaw, it's way too confusing. And it's too much. It's a clusterfuck. And I think that's also why I don't love it. Because it's just, you get confused on which is from the past or which is in reality, like, present. It's too much. How you have like the main story and then like the side quest or like the side story of like a backstory of a character, like that's fine, but like that it going on while there's another game going on and you're trying to, like I said, because like when they switch back and forth, you're like, okay, which one is which is happening? It's too much.
My props to the laser color scene and the reveal of the killer when he looks up and he doesn't see the burn marks. That was really cool because Cam caught on. He didn't realize it. He's like, why didn't his head roll? And then,
well, I was like, why didn't his head come off and roll off completely? But even if he had really been lasered, it still made sense because they're only going straight through one point. They're not like spinning in circles, getting every bit.
Yeah, but you still caught on that something was off.
Yeah, but not in the right way.
I feel like that's like just a lot of things when like a trap's like stabbing you. It's like only in like one area instead of like all around. But like, that's like actually a good, like, I don't think I fully paid attention to that the way, but I think that's very interesting that you got that. Was that your first time watching it?
Yes.
Yeah.
We were just saying, Blake, how I did like the laser collar bit where like the reveal of who is the villain because he looked up and saw there was no burn marks. Yeah. But there was for him. That was really cool.
It was clever.
That was clever.
The third act is probably the best of the movie when everything comes together because before that it's just like, what's going on? It's just like average Saw movie. And then the third act kind of sets it apart. I liked it.
For me, where it falls apart is the characterization of the new Jigsaw because he's not John Kramer. He's not even following in his footsteps. John Kramer has said so many times in the previous movies, it can never be personal. and it is so damn personal for this guy who I don't even remember his name, but he looks like Alan Richson.
Yeah.
And
I know exactly who you're talking
He
about.
does.
they clearly really regretted knocking Kramer off. And when he comes back in this movie, I was like, I'm really leaning in. I was like, how they're really doing this? They're really doing this? And then they just reveal that it's just another flashback. I didn't like that. I actually wanted them to. I was happy to see Kramer be back. I just wanted it to be real, though, and it wasn't real. Overall, the movie felt like a reboot. It didn't look or feel the same. I think a lot of that has to do with there's no film grain. The aspect ratio is different. On normal TV, it's going to be full frame, but in these ones, they're shot in scope. For those who don't know, it's like a longer picture. And so on a TV, it's got the black bars. And for me, that's just less immersive. That's my big nitpick with the MCU shows these days. And just anything on Disney Plus is that they're making these shows for TV. And yet there's these big black bars on the top and bottom. Oh, because it looks cinematic. It's like, no, it's less immersive. It's less immersive. It's a TV show. Fucking lean into it. Anyway, that tangent over. The movie didn't look or feel the same whatsoever. And it wasn't. Yeah, Jordan said Jigsaw doesn't have the grit.
It was very sleek.
Yeah, really overly polished.
It was very sleek.
That's all I got. My shortest section of notes for all of these movies is on Jigsaw movie. That's all I got for that.
It's the most convoluted Jigsaw to this point. To try and recreate another previous Jigsaw game perfectly, just to set up for the bodies.
It didn't work.
I think
Bottom
the thing
line,
also is, at least in like some of them, even if like John Kramer wasn't there, like he still created some of the traps that were like used. Like, so there's still like his presence felt lingered. This doesn't feel like it at all.
Yeah.
I wish.
So it's like there's not even an ounce of him. So it's like it does feel like a reboot.
My last little bit is going to be I wish the motorcycle trap wasn't so pristine looking, because it ended up looking goofy a little bit, the CGI on it. I wish that leans into what you were saying about how it doesn't have that grit to it.
Yeah,
that had a potential to be like an all-timer, but it didn't land. I like that she tried to stop it though. Good for her.
Bummer, dude.
Thumbs down on Jigsaw.
Thumbs down on Jigsaw.
And then we got one more that's worse, and then we're back to the good.
Like, okay, I may not love Jigsaw or Spiral, but I don't think it's so like bad that it's like, oh my god, it's awful. Like, I find some type of enjoyment in it. I still don't think Saw has a single bad movie, but that's still just me. But
I agree.
Even though I don't I just have issues with Spiral. I didn't fully hate it as much as I thought. There's just some like problems in it that stand out so much that I'm like, I'm annoyed by it, but I don't hate it.
Let's get into it. Spiral has only one thing I like, and I told Sabrina before we watched it.
Is it a trap?
No, it is a line. The only thing I like about this movie is that we actually got Samuel L. Jackson say, "You want to play games, motherfucker?
You want to play games, motherfucker? All right, I'll play."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I love him so much.
He carried the movie, and that's why it's like really put him in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's such one of my things I take issue with.
What a shame.
What a shame.
You had Samuel Jackson in a Saw movie, and you were just like,
kind of like wasting Christian Bale in a superhero movie.
We did that tangent last week.
No, we're gonna have some type of rant every week.
Don't worry, I'm not tangenting, guys. It was just a haha. It was a joke.
We open with Chris Rock's character, Zeke Banks, and he ends up getting a partner. How do you say his last name?
Shank, I think.
Shank. I liked him at first. The entire time I was like, why is he such a dick to him? Also, like, he's such a dick to everybody in this movie. Like, I kind of get why. Like, as the movie progresses, but damn. Chris Rock's character. But he's living in the shadow of his father, who's a police chief. So he has to take charge of another grisly investigation of murders, where he's trapped in another Jigsaw, which they think is like a repeat killer, either John Kramer or, of course, a copycat killer. But it's clearly a copycat, like wannabe Jigsaw, because they don't even do the voice.
They were gonna use Billy, and
yes,
they were gonna use Jigsaw's voice, but they cut both of those.
So Zeke finds himself in the morbid game, and the killer ends up being his partner. How'd you say his last name?
Shank, I think.
Shank. Okay. Yeah, we'll just say the partner, because I can't be bothered.
Just say Shank, and if it's wrong, it's wrong.
I just hate butchering people's last names because
He doesn't deserve the respect. He wishes he was
I liked
Jigsaw.
him. I liked him up until that.
He was fine.
He's pretty good. Okay, so he's so hell-bent on making corrupt cops suffer for the damage they've caused to the justice system, and he escapes after murdering Samuel L. Jackson. And he says a famous line that contradicts the entire franchise that pissed me off so bad. So
That
bad!
Jigsaw never targeted cops.
What?
They closed
No,
their
I don't
eyes for
understand
most
anything
of these
about
movies.
Saw.
4 was so forgettable, even the series forgot about it.
I can't even believe that one line. Like, again, there was some good like, it was okay, it was enjoyable, because, like, I didn't, completely, like, the way Blake described it sounded so much worse, so I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would, because I originally heard so many bad reviews. It certainly doesn't feel like the rest of the Saw movies. It does not have the heart, and, like, I'll say the grit, and, like, just, like, everything that makes Saw the way it is doesn't have any of that, and that's also why I, like, don't like it. What truly, truly annoys me is that eerie voice. God, I hated it so much. Hello, detective. Like, I can't. I literally got annoyed every
He
time.
sounds like a Muppet.
No, he sounds like the
Yeah.
Riddler in the Batman.
Oh, Jordan said, "Are we including the Batman because low-key is Saw film?"
It is low-key a Saw film.
Like,
The rats and
literally,
shit.
when I'm just saying this to get my, like, Batman mention fix of the week into the stream, he literally sounded just like Riddler when he's on the live stream.
Just not as scary. Riddler even sounded scarier.
Yeah.
I think he sounded like Maggot Mommy, just pitched a little bit differently.
Muppet Maggot Mommy?
Muppet Maggot Mommy.
Mommy's with the maggots now. Hello, Detective Banks. I have a bone to pick with the police department.
I finally got my fucking Evil Dead Rise steelbook today, finally.
Ooh.
Hey, let's go.
Well, I mean, like, I don't want to say, like, oh, it feels like, no, it doesn't. It lacks a lot. And I guess that's why I kind of consider it like it's standalone, even though because it's not really part of, like, the main timeline franchise. But, like, it's just, I don't even know where it would, like, if it was, I don't even know where I'd put it. Not
In the
really.
timeline?
You mean like in your ranking?
No. Oh, no. Ranking it's last.
In the timeline, it's just present day. It takes place when it came out.
I was gonna say they all take place as they come out, but I was like, no.
No.
The seven movies take place in like a week, probably.
Yeah.
And Saw X takes place like 12 years ago.
I don't know. Like, even though I've said, like, more things I don't like than what I do like, I still don't hate it. Like, it was like, okay, I enjoyed that. Like, it's not bad. I think if you take away the really, like, awful voice, I think I would enjoy it better.
I think it's not really a great Saw movie. It's not the same formula. It kind of breaks your expectations there, but at the same time, most of the elements are there. You've still got the traps, you've still got voice recordings, a puppet, you still got a big crazy twist ending that I thought the ending of this was sort of more kind of almost outdid some of the previous ones. Like, it was a bleak ass ending where everyone
As, like, a
you
plot
like
twist,
dies.
as, like, the twist, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you, because I was not expecting that at all.
And I think that this movie would have been fine if it weren't for the expectations that people had of a Saw movie. I think marketing this as a Saw movie is what killed it, which is ironic because I think it's the only way that people would have gotten eyes on this movie. I think if it weren't a Saw movie, no one would have seen it because it's just some weird ass
Saw knockoff.
Yeah, but I think it works as, like, the first 30 minutes of it work as just kind of a weird comedy. Like, the first 20, 30 minutes are actually pretty funny. And then after that, it kind of gets a little more serious. But having Saw expectations, I think it didn't work. But other than that, I thought it was all right.
Yeah,
I swear I'm not a contrarian on person, but I thought it was okay.
I found it really interesting. I will say I was really bummed by Sam Jackson at the end there. It was sad. Like, I wish we got more of him in the movie. I wish we got more of him with Chris Rock's character, but I know why we didn't. I'm not, like, saying that changed how I felt necessarily. We had some cool traps in this. The hot wax one in particular.
That was crazy. That was probably my favorite.
Oof, that was rough. And then Chris Rock walking away from, like, glass in his arm and in his face trying to save that one guy.
That was rough. That was just hard to watch.
Yeah, there is definitely some, like, brutal moments in this. It kind of feels like a crime thriller heavy Saw, and I found that a very interesting choice. Some things didn't land with me.
Yeah, it was like Heat.
Some things didn't land for me, but I definitely appreciate the things they kind of did differently or took a chance on. That was at least interesting to see.
Jordan says the movie should have just been called Spiral. Get rid of the subtitle, and yeah, sure, I could accept the movie more.
Read what Jordan's saying.
Yeah, Spiral's very poopy. I would go as far as to say it's shitty.
Go ahead.
Over it. It doesn't have any redeeming qualities.
All right. Are we
I
good?
saw
Can
in
we
the
talk about
theater.
Saw X?
We can get into Saw X, yes.
I'm fine with that.
Fuck Spiral.
This is one of my favorites.
I'll save my thoughts for a spoiler.
Saw X. So we start with a sick and desperate John Kramer. John Kramer travels to Mexico for a risky experimental medical procedure in hopes of a miracle cure for his cancer, only to discover the entire operation is a scam to defraud the most vulnerable. With the help of his apprentice Amanda, we see the return of Amanda. The Jigsaw killers kidnap every one of these scam artists, putting them through one torturous trap after another. I remember before it even came out, I was getting such good reviews, and it just, that alone already made me so excited, but like, it really touched upon like the personal humanity side. Because like we were talking about it earlier with John Kramer, but like that really, really showed his humanity. That tugged so hard on my heartstrings. Like I love him, but like that just, that had me crying in the theater. I mean, you see like him look very sickly and like desperate kind of in 2 when he's talking to Detective Matthews, but like this, you really see his vulnerable, sick, desperate self that he's, doing anything he can to save himself. And then, before that, like I don't know if I can't speak for everyone else if they've ever sympathized with him, but this really, really makes you sympathize with him. And like that alone, like the story alone, like I saw someone say it was mid, and that actually made me angry because it's just like the story is just so good. Like it's probably like one of like not talking about just the traps were great. Love the traps, probably some of my faves in the entire franchise. Focus is so focus heavy on his backstory that it just it's so good. It's so good. I want to hear everyone else's thoughts because I just this one was one of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites.
It was really good.
I think this really went back to a more bare bones Saw movie that we saw in the first one while getting a new upgrade to be more modern. I appreciated that. I appreciated more stripped down, almost bottle film thing they're going on here. We aren't going back between two plots, A plot and a B plot. We're really just kind of focusing on what's going on in the situation in the game. And I think that was a really great choice. Made me appreciate it a lot. And I do think I walked away with added sympathy for Kramer.
Absolutely. He's finally the hero of the story, like he should be. Because he's this villain that we have loved for many movies, but hasn't really gotten the chance to fully take center stage because the movies have always been from the perspective of the victims or the detectives. And so they finally make him the hero that he is because he's a good person, as I've been saying.
Exactly, Cam.
Yeah.
Except that I think this movie did more to challenge that view that I hold more so than any of them. Because in this one, everything that's happening with him is much more direct. He's not somewhere else. He didn't set up these traps and leave. He is there pulling the strings as much as he can. I like how grounded this one feels. I like that the tone of it actually suits the subject matter. The grim, torturous traps that happen in this are actually disturbing. I didn't feel really disturbed in any of the previous movies because they all have this like really heightened reality feeling to them. And this one felt more visceral, more painful to watch.
I feel like they held the shots more outside of the first one. I feel like they really held the shot for the traps instead of like these crazy cuts as often.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, like it's very like you see it happening while it's happening, not just like you find them dead and like it goes through like the quick cuts of them going through the trap. Like it's happening while it's happening, and like him staying there is what makes it even more. It's like Amanda at first couldn't handle it, and he's like, no, he's like, you got to. He's like, you got to finish my work, and like seeing them finally like actually like work together and staying together instead of like her being like behind the scenes and like him watching like making sure she's doing everything, like them working together was like such a huge highlight too.
I highly recommend it. I say take your friends, have a Saw night, have fun because this is one of those movies that's fun to watch in a group because of reactions and like getting freaked out together.
My last non-spoiler thing to say would be that this one, it takes place between 1 and 2, but it doesn't work right if you don't watch like all 7 of the first ones first. I would say you can't just cram this between 1 and 2 if it's your first time.
Yeah.
I would say it'd be interesting for a rewatch for like us who have seen them all to go watch 1, 10, 2. But I think if you've never seen them, you just have to watch them in release order. That's the only way this movie is going to really work because there's so much context in it that comes from like the sequels where they're filling in backstory, and it just wouldn't work.
Seeing, him take the front center stage on this is like what makes it hit even different after watching everything, all these like previous ones.
Jordan says, I got my brother hooked on these films, so I took him to see this weekend. The weekend it came out. I sent a DM to Sabrina telling her how I felt. We saw this twice. We saw this last night, and we went and resaw it today because one of us needed to.
Jayla? Is it Jayla?
Huh? What?
Nothing.
I don't know. You looked up the set. I was like, is it you, Jayla? Did you have to see it again?
Maybe.
Why?
I fell asleep.
She fell asleep for like a few seconds. I caught her. She just missed a little context. I woke her up.
I appreciate you doing that again, Jayla.
Oh, thank you.
I knew that she was sleepy, and so I was keeping an eye on her. And so she was only asleep for just a short little while, I think, because I woke her up as soon as I noticed. But I woke her up right before spoilers.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah, don't go to the movies sleepy because you're gonna be fighting for your life in the theater.
Our theater has heated seats too.
Oh,
it's
so
warm
I
and
hate
snug. Oh.
falling asleep in a theater. I had to fight for my life twice. It was bad. I almost did it with the Batman.
Ooh.
I did it.
We saw it. No, I didn't. I almost did. I did not fall asleep fully.
So I woke Jayla up right before Gabriella's scene, the scene where she's hanging and there's the radiation.
Justice for Gabriella.
No.
No.
Well,
No.
hang on. Let me correct myself. From the Kramer, from his standpoint, she won and she deserved to live.
Oh yeah.
And didn't she got
Oh, you're talking about what the other woman did to her?
Yeah.
Fuck
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying I'm all of them were bad people. Don't get me wrong. At all. They're not great people. I do like the change of setting here. We're in Mexico, and we know we're in Mexico because they shoehorn a nice orange tint to everything. Make it look all nice. Do the Breaking Bad treatment to make sure we know we're not in America anymore. The eyeball trap in particular is something that the second time I watched it, I was waiting on him to get to the theater, and I have to sit through this. I have to not look away.
For a second showing.
Yeah, for Cam, I can't look away, and it was a nightmare. I hate eye stuff in horror movies, and you see it kind of bulging a little bit, and it's just kind of like.
That one made me really uncomfortable, just more squeamish than like any.
This movie is mean.
I don't know if it was because of the immersion factor, but it definitely felt meaner.
Makes you feel better it didn't happen.
Good choice.
Good choice.
Honestly, I thought that one would get me, but I think it was because it was so quick. It didn't. It did. There's one that got me. That got me a little look away, and it's not even like compared to the eyeball one. It's not as bad, but it got me.
I think the eyeball one's like the least of them.
Oh yeah, the eyeball one was like nothing to me.
Yeah, compared to brain surgery, which by the way
that was mine.
It calls back to the Venus flytrap one because like surgery.
Yeah, that was probably like second. The first one was like the cab driver with the pipe bomb in his arms.
Oh,
that I don't know why it got me so bad. I was like, oh.
It was the sound. 100% it was the sound.
Yeah, I wrote down my notes. The sound design in this really did the job because when she's like
sound, and I think it was just like the skin like coming off. I was like, oh, okay, all right, that feels too real. I don't know why it got me more than freaking the brain surgery because it literally took out his brain, but it did, and I don't know.
We talked about Hoffman's traps being mean-spirited, but I think with Gabriella hanging there and she frees one of her hands, and then that like lamp comes in back towards her.
That was so mean.
That was the funniest thing.
What was that woman's name? What was this woman's name again?
Cecilia.
She screwed her over. If she would have
she was like
her hand first, she would have been on the ground.
Yeah.
No, bust your foot first. You'll swing out of the way. You'll swing out of the way onto the ground if you hit your hand first.
Yeah, if she'd gotten her hand out first, she would have fallen
out of the line of sight.
I think that the radiator still would have like been able to go down and get her on.
Yeah.
the floor.
Right on her face.
He definitely thought of something. He definitely thought of everything. I'm telling you, and that was so mean spirited. It was like unprovoked. It was
So
just so
funny.
unprovoked.
I have some things to say about her that we'll circle back to.
Do you think maybe Cecilia was sabotaging her? Because Cecilia's
Yeah.
I don't say this word, and I would never say this word verbally on the internet, but Cecilia's a fucking cunt.
Yes. Yes.
Damn.
I just
No.
I used to have an ick about that word.
She is the
We're
definition of that word.
demonetized.
I used to have an ick
We
about
were
that word, but I feel very
demonetized.
strongly.
She
So
is the definition of that word. I don't care.
Yeah.
I have some good, bad news or potentially good news, depending on how you see it, guys. Cecilia is said to be a returning antagonist in other movies. So we're
They haven't
said.
announced other movies.
I'm telling you what I heard through the grapevine that there are more Saw movies that they're working on, and she's supposed to come back as
You,
the
you have someone on the
antagonist.
inside? Can you get us some
Maybe.
interviews?
No,
Cam is Perry Whiting you. He's like, what's your source on that?
he is.
Water's wet.
Water wet.
She lived. It felt more grim because we all heard them yelling John's name this entire time.
Got an eyelash in my mouth.
This entire time.
John.
That was horrifying. The bone marrow scene was awful. Oh my
Ouchie.
god.
Freaking
Oh.
ouchie.
Her face when she like shoving this thing into her bone and then she dies anyways.
That was so that made me so mad at
She was-
Kramer. But I still respect him because he never interferes. He sets the thing up and he lets it play out. But she needed 2 more seconds of bone marrow. I was mad at him just standing by for that one because she totally earned it. What, the arbitrary 3 minutes? What is that? Most of them were either 1 minute or 15 minutes before that. So we didn't have a 3-minute timer until this movie, as far as I remember. The numbers, the time is arbitrary.
Yeah,
That's my one little headcanon, if you will. I think he did plan it out because he's smart. Jigsaw's not an idiot. He likes to be fair. I think this is why he came up with the personal rule, because this was the first time he was personal and made it so that they would just barely have not enough time to get through them, because it's fuck them for what they did. So I like to think this is the one time Jigsaw cheated in a way where he made it really hard for them. Even the last one was kind of
he was
cheat.
mad.
It was never meant for that lady.
Yeah, even though she was so close, but that was the point. Instead of her freaking out about it, she could have just done it.
Yeah. He's just it's going to take them this long to freak out and this long to get started on it. They're not.
But that's a typical trap though. They freak out because they're like, oh my god, I can't do this, and then they waste time, and then listen, they were all involved, even if they didn't all didn't physically steal money from him, and they were all involved.
They were all involved.
The thing that broke my heart the most was that he literally was bringing her Gabriella a bottle, and
he was so nice.
No, but when he goes back to the thing, they're not there, and he finds the mirror and looks. I was like, oh my god! I was like, there's not gonna be a decision there, and I'm gonna cry, and I cried. The look on his face. I was like, how dare you go apologize to this man right now? It was literally the entire time I was like, he's literally Papa. What the fuck? How do you do this to a sick old man? What the fuck? How do you live with yourself when you fuck over him of all people? He's so cute. Oh, I can't. My heart.
Epic bad luck.
And now I'm even more mad knowing that she's gonna continue as an antagonist because she deserved to freaking get her karma. But it's fine. I hope she dies the most gruesome freaking death.
I hope that cunt dies.
Yeah,
I was gonna
that was the only thing I was like, this bitch better fucking not survive. And even what Amanda said, she's gonna betray you. She don't give a fuck. You're all loose ends to her. And just, oh my god, can we talk about the scene with John and the little boy, and he was ready to get,
where he's getting bloodboarded? Bloodboarding scene?
Yeah.
Where a poor child was being bloodboarded?
Yeah.
And this is where we see some rare empathy from Amanda.
Yeah.
But it wasn't totally out of the blue, having her actually be a decent person, because we mentioned earlier the post-credit scene for Saw 6 is her talking to Jeff's daughter, and she says, don't trust the one who saves you.
Yeah, she was she's shaken.
Even though she's a cold-blooded killer, she's still looking out for the kids here.
And even in this, when it came to Gabriella, who she saw herself in because she was also a drug addict, she had some hesitancy there. She wanted to kind of be a bit more protective of her.
She bought her more time.
Yeah, she bought her more time as well. And she was just like crushed when Gabriella made it. Like she's passed her test but still died. She had an animalistic scream.
Oh, honestly, what also got me, that was like, I know, like, just her crying when she's like, I don't know if I'm ready to do this without you. Like, that got me. Like, it really got me.
Yeah, that's also what
like she definitely still looks at him like, even though she didn't, agree with everything he did, like she still looked at him like a father figure, and like that felt like a father figure.
That gives Cam more validity, saying that scene, and just this movie with their relationship doesn't really work unless you see like Saw 3, like how close they really were at the end of John's life.
What was I gonna say?
She was talking about how John is a father figure. More of a daddy figure.
Yeah, so I felt like she really wanted to bang him throughout this. And throughout three. This was a bit different.
Huh?
This she was super protective. This is different. In this one, I felt more of like a more like mentor mentee kind of thing going on. But if I'm going back to 3, when she was like super upset and kind of like, maybe this is just me. Also, props to not de-aging them. Cam, please say something.
Yeah.
I have such a mixed feelings about de-aging, because there's times that there's like Better Call Saul, which the actors are like 10 years older than they were when they did Breaking Bad. And so it's very noticeable, the difference. I kind of respect that, because they would have to do a lot of de-aging because of Better Call Saul being a prequel. But then there is, and I think Sabrina's going to fight me for this one. She knows what I'm going to say.
I was waiting for it.
Them not de-aging Hayden Christensen does not work for me. I'm not going to go on that tangent. That's
Blake, what were you going to say about them not de-aging Kramer or Amanda?
It seems like such a no-brainer, because it's like, one, it's Saw. With really horror, you can get away with a lot. I don't think a single person going into this movie looked at John Kramer and is just like, well, he looks a lot older than he did in the first movie.
Oh my god, he looks like, so much older. Man. Yeah, no,
he doesn't look. He looks the same enough.
Yeah,
he looks the same enough. Yeah,
same with Amanda.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want them to do any digital fuckery that like covers up the amazing performance he gave in the movie.
I feel like I'll say this, and this might go more to your gripes with something like Star Wars or Marvel does it a lot. I feel like bad de-aging would take someone out of the movie more than like makeup making someone look younger, or is that what I'm trying to say? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like going through all that time to like de-age them would take you out of the story a lot more than just like, oh, he looks older than he should. Like that just seems kind of like a non-issue compared to bad de-aging.
Yeah, if they're gonna do prosthetics and stuff to like change someone's face completely, all the nuance of the performance is completely gone, because it's not even their real.
No one's paying attention anymore.
One thing I want to make sure I did say was, I really appreciate the characterization we get from Kramer. It's going to make me go back and see the movies a bit differently, because he feels so trusting. Like he gives everyone a chance at first. I wouldn't say innocence to him, but the way like that kind of gets crushed and used against him.
It's like that vulnerable trust.
Yeah, it's very interesting that he can be vulnerable still.
Mm-hmm.
He can be. He's a very vulnerable villain. Like that's.
And it's genius, because you never see that again from Saw 2 on.
Yeah.
This is what did it.
I think it's very brilliant that he's a vulnerable villain, and his whole thing is vulnerability and exposing that, as well as your spine, probably.
It's like things leading up to why they chose that path. You know what I mean?
By Saw X, you very definitively see why John Kramer did all this shit. He's been through so much, that poor man.
He's a great life coach, though.
Yeah. There's one bit that I thought was, you were talking about his sincerity. I think the movie itself has a lot of sincerity, because there's this one scene early on in the movie where he's like looking at a sunset and sitting on a bench, and it looks like a commercial for some kind of like medicine.
Scratch. He's like doodling these like awful traps and throwing them in the trash.
It's like
I literally like was like,
that's funny.
Look at him.
He's like in a commercial for a cancer drug.
Like I found like a TikTok about the like when he was at like the coffee place, the girl who's like the barista was like talking about how scared she was to like share a scene with him. And he's like, "Oh, the worst I could do is just send the coffee back if you mess it up." And like, oh, he's probably like so and like he's just sitting there like enjoying nature, and I'm like, oh, he's just so cute. He's like a cute little. It's like he literally looks like an old like. Have you ever seen like a cute old man like dining alone? Like that's how he looked, and like that literally tugs at my heartstrings so much.
I like to go and kiss them on the top of the head.
Oh, I love him. I was like, I love this man so much. Like, I was like, I want to meet him and just give him a big hug. It's like that meme where it's like, oh, no one came to have lunch with like, what was it? Peepaw or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's literally how it is.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
I was like, like I was like, he's alone. Like, oh, I can't. And what makes it worse is like him finding that guy from the cancer group and like just he's like, do you have a minute to tell me? Like, oh, like, are you kidding?
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. I just don't know. This is what I love about this is that this gave me a group of people who I felt deserve to be in these traps.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
And it's been a while.
The rest of them were just unlikable in previous.
But these people, like what they were pulling, nah. No. You guys are kind of jerks. I hope Cecily, right?
Cecilia.
I was so wrong.
Cecily.
I don't know. She doesn't deserve to be called the right thing anyways. I don't care. I
We're
hope
the worst
she
of
gets,
them all.
like
We could just call her see you next Tuesday.
a horrible trap. I hope like they save some like really like brutal for her.
I have one more funny bit.
Please.
I liked when they roll Billy in with the with the tools on the back of his bicycle. Also,
when I tell you, I lost my mind in the theater. It was like a freaking Marvel cameo. I was like, that's my boy!
It was so funny.
Literally him with his little tricycle. I was like, oh my god. I literally was like smacking Blake and I was like, it's him! It's my silly little guy!
I think Kramer just travels with a Billy puppet just in case.
Well, the thing is, this Billy puppet seemed much bigger, seemed like longer and taller, and it's like he would have had to either pack Billy up in his suitcase or fashion a new one after he was in Mexico.
He also
think
made
he
a
fashioned a
radiation
new one.
machine.
I think he fashioned a new one too.
Because it didn't talk and it didn't do the little laugh.
Yeah.
I have one like little like detail thing. I can't speak for all of them, but like there's one that I noticed was like when he was in the cab, like on his way, like you see like the little like was it like a statue? Like was it? Yeah, and like it ended up becoming one of the traps. Like him embarking that into a trap was so fucking creative, and I loved that detail.
Brain surgery,
Yeah, it was perfect. I was like, it's the thing he looked at. I was like, he got inspiration. I was like, oh my god. Oh, I was so excited. I love that little detail. So unique. So cool.
This is a movie I will be showing my mom. That's how I can give you the rating.
I want to show it to my dad, but we'll see.
I show my dad. He freaks out. My dad's he's a tough guy. I love you, Dad. I'm sorry. He's a tough guy. He's a big teddy bear, but certain things in horror movies freak him out. And I'm gonna have so much fun showing him this movie.
I would like to watch a horror movie with him. I don't think I've watched any with him.
It's fun. It's really fun. He's so great.
I will give one last big gripe I have with this movie. I think they did not stick the landing as far as the ending goes, because even Spiral, even Jigsaw, even those ended with a crazy big twist. Everything's happening all at once, and they end on a big bleak moment. And this one, they just kind of literally walk off into the sunset. And I didn't. You're going to say the mid-credit scene? Because
no, I'm going to say I disagree with you.
Go on.
I didn't mind it because I feel like this is kind of changing the formula while staying within the formula already. And, with the kid involved, and it was like an impromptu game he came up with after dealing with the situation. There really wasn't room for a twist. I don't really need a twist besides the whole, the real, C's real game was actually in the office where her money is.
I was gonna be honest with you, I kind of felt like that was the twist for me because I was not expecting that. Like even like Hoffman said, oh, like you tried to what was his line, Blake?
You tried to scam John Kramer.
Yeah,
of all people.
I not that I thought he lost, but I was like, I didn't think that he would think of every scenario. But even Blake said it was like, oh, he took the bullets out of the gun, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't even notice that. And
what I loved about
them going up and getting caught, that was a perfect plot twist. I'm sorry.
Is because he does think of everything, but he didn't lie when they brought the little kid into it. and his face was genuinely worried, and he's like, oh, like what if I go get the kid? And he's just like, oh, that's a unforeseen circumstance, something like that, or consequence.
Consequence.
And I was thinking about that, and I was just like, Jigsaw nails everything after the movie and everything. I was like, okay, he genuinely did think of that, and it worked out how he wanted to. He got them in the office, but I was like, what did he fuck up on? And I was like, oh, that was supposed to be him and Amanda, not him and the kid, who was like, innocent of it all. He would have never put that kid in that situation. So I was like, okay, that was more believable to me, is that he thought of everything, and still there was a little thing he didn't consider that put a wrench in his plans, and he still, it still worked out for him.
He didn't count on having someone match his crazy with like Cecilia, like that.
She was worse than him too, and that's
insane. See You Next Tuesday. Bringing in the kid was incredibly out of pocket. She's ready to
killing Gabriella like that was wow.
She's just gonna kill a kid just to make a point to a person who's gonna be dead anyway. Like, what a fucking
bitch. The craziest, like, I don't know why it was such a little thing, but like her going into, what the heck was her name? The one with that, like, literally with the bone marrow. What was her name?
Valentina.
Valentina.
Yeah, like using her intestines as a rope. I was like, what the fuck?
That was cold-blooded.
That woman.
I was like, who is this woman?
Out of her mind.
She had it wrapped around her hands too, so like casually.
I wrote down the quote. We have a rope.
Love this movie. 10 out of 10.
This
has been Saw Bonanza.
Saw Bonanza.
Saw Bonanza. We've done it all.
We
saw it all.
Thanks for staying with us, guys. I hope I did it justice. And,
thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
Sorry. Oh, thank you. I had a great time doing this. I love Saw.
Thanks to everyone for being here. Thanks to Sith Morrison, as always. Thanks to Lil Wolfie and Dreaded and Indiana Old.
Thanks for bearing with us, guys. Even after all the little, I don't know the word. I don't know.
Played the game and you won. Now you'll appreciate life more or something. I don't know.
Be sure to subscribe if you're not already. And, ring the bell so you don't miss any of our live shows. And check us out on Twitter and TikTok at Last Scare. We will be here next week with something or other.
And comment your favorite Saw trap.
Please. I want to know.
We would love that. Without further ado, see you next Tuesday.
I'll be right back.